extends up here to Hubbardville, Allen. So anybody north of Fayette, stay in your safe place until the storm passes or until we give you an all clear. For the city of Fayette, we'll need you to stay in a safe place for about 5 more minutes, then we can give you an all clear. So now we're working 2 distinct storms. That is storm number 1. Let's go back over to storm number 2. And again, this is the one that is in the far western side of the state. All of these storms are well to the west of Birmingham. So if we can adjust the radar, Charles, over a little bit to the Mississippi state line, and we'll show you the other polygon, which is located right here. And again, this includes the far northwest part of Pickens County and the southern part of Lamar County. And this is basically for areas west of Reform out here toward Colesfire in Ethelsville, and then up into Lamar County around Millport. And again, this circulation, same thing. It's been cycling to some degree. News, the circulation that is near the Alabama-Mississippi line looks pretty decent. Let me show you the high-resolution radar. And again, you can see it's kind of broad. Macedonia 82 is right here, that blue line. And what we need to do right now, while I open the 6 o'clock news, we're not changing weather coverage, so I need to say this to make it all legal. This is WBMA Birmingham. ABC 3340 News at 6 o'clock starts now. So here we go. Again, this is US 82. This is the blue line. And again, the second circulation is near Macedonia. That's crossing over US 82. And it's the same problem we've got with this first storm. We've got a circulation crossing over a pretty major thoroughfare, and people are trying to get from Tuscaloosa to watch the University of Alabama play Mississippi State at Humphrey Coliseum in Starkville tonight. And we don't want anybody traveling along US 82 from Reform to downtown Columbus. So if you are along the way trying to get to Starkville, we ask that you stop at Reform, just stop at a gas station, stop at a restaurant, relax. The storm is going to cross over the highway in about 10 or 15 minutes. You can be on your way. At 6 o'clock, you got plenty of time to get there. So again, a fairly broad near the Alabama-Mississippi state line at Macedonia that's moving up towards the northeast. Millport is in this polygon. Kennedy is not. And again, this will affect that southern part of Lamar County. So that is the circulation number 1. The circulation number 2 is fairly weak. It is north of Fayette. The good news, it is not overwhelming like we had earlier, but these are cyclic. They could cycle right back up. So if you are in Hubbardville or in Glen Allen, you want to be in a safe place as well. Brian Peters, if you're on the line with us, tell us where you are and what you've got. And we might have dropped Brian because I think Brian ran through a communication zone where there's basically no cell service. We have Brian's live feed to take. And again, looks like Brian is probably coming up on the city of Fayette from the southwest. And I think it's safe to say that, and again, Brian has been very safe in his travels today, but Brian, I don't believe, has seen any damage. We noticed the electricity is on. I've been watching his feed coming from the Benchmark Jeep Storm Chaser, and again, no sign of any damage as Brian comes up into the southwestern part of the city of Fayette. We have a crew that is in downtown Fayette, and again, at this point, we have seen no evidence of damage in the city of Fayette. And as soon as we get Brian back on the line, we'll get him to share some thoughts and comments on what's happening here. But despite the fact that we have no damage in Fayette, we still, as a course of least regret, encourage people north of Fayette to be in a safe place until these storms pass. So, Brian, apparently you've seen no damage. And looks good and clean. Looks good.
Absolutely, James. The only thing I've seen is, once again, in the street where obviously there's quiet down here. I think people are heeding the warning.
The fact that nobody's out in the cars, everybody's in a shelter, in a safe place. But you can, and again, I tell people all the time, we'll show you the things you need to see. We've got people that have been trained for years and years and years. They know what they're doing. We'll show you these live feeds, and you can see how your town looks. And the city of Fayette, for now, looks pretty good. We've got another 3340 crew that is in Fayette as well, but again, Brian is maneuvering through the streets and everything is looking good. But still, if you are north of Fayette, up toward Hubbardville or Glen Allen, we want you to be in a safe place until we give you an all clear. It is obvious that the tornado signature is not as intense as it was 5 or 10 minutes ago, but as we've talked about, these are cyclic. The storms can recycle in a heartbeat, and they can come right back down. So we don't want anybody just dropping your guard. I can give you an all clear for the city of Fayette now. If you're in the city of Fayette, we can give you an all clear in that the tornado signature is down north. Allen. This is affecting the northern part of Fayette County. North of the Walmart and points north, that's where you want to stay in a safe place. So this is tornado signature number 1. Signature number 2 is the one that is sitting over here around US 82 near the state line. And again, that will be coming out from Macedonia, coming up into Lamar County, affecting some of the communities over there. Real quick, again, I want to show you this image we showed a few minutes ago. This is some of the damage. This is back in Pickens County. We have a lot of images that have come in like this, and reports of relatively widespread severe damage have been received. The positive here is the fact that the warnings were very good. People had about 25 to 30 minutes to do something, and I think people in Pickens County are very good. I think many people heard the warning. They responded. They got into a safe place. We stress we have heard of no fatalities with this as of now. We've heard of some injuries, but they've been relatively minor so far. So that's the... All right, and again, from our news department, they're telling us of 3 houses that they know of that have been damaged. There's probably more that we don't know about.
Pointing down along Highway 9, which where that passed over a little while ago.
Okay.
But like you said, no.
And let me say this too, that there's a pretty large prison in Pickens County, and we have heard no specific damage at the prison. There are trees that have been blown down, but the facility itself, we understand, is okay. So let's go back. We'll put the regular radar behind me, the main graphic system. And again, we apologize. It is 6 o'clock. Typically, you'd be in a newscast right now, but due to our commitment to stay on the air with you during tornado warnings, we're having to keep weather programming going. We're working 2 tornado warning polygons. This is number 1. This is the storm that is north of Fayette, moving north up toward Hubbardville and Glen Allen. This is number 2. This is the second circulation that's crossing US 82, and that's moving up into Lamar County, and that will be affecting places like Vernon is warning polygons. County, and the warnings don't extend up there. It goes along the thing. To take away from that. But again, for now, the signature that is north of Fayette looks very broad and does not look especially tight. We'll check the other signature, and it's kind of the same thing. Maybe this is a little tighter, but it's not overwhelmingly impressive. That's the tornado signature that's now north of US 82. Let's give it 5 minutes. It is, let's see, at this point, we are looking at 6:07. At 6:12, we'll give US 82 an all clear. And again, for those of you trying to get from Tuscaloosa to Starkville, our advice for now is to stop at Reform, relax, just hang out, chill, then in about 5 minutes, keep on going. The danger from this will be over at that point. And folks trying to get to the basketball game at Starkville, I'll be able to play. This is the second circulation we've had crossing over US 82. The first one came over at Reform. To my knowledge, we had no damage at Reform, which is a good thing. And I've heard of no damage from this one. And again, it's relatively broad. So just maybe in 10 or 15 minutes, both of these warnings will be canceled, and we can wind this thing down and kind of get back to a normal mode here. Again, I've heard of nothing specific, Charles, from this one. Have you?
Nothing specific right now. We saw some issues with a few trees down back in Mississippi, but nothing here yet. So that's encouraging news. The rotation here also, the first storm earlier that we were following, we had winds in excess of 160 miles an hour or 150 miles an hour, 8-to-8 shear. Here it's about 60, 70 miles an hour, and maybe a little bit more in certain scans. But I can't find anything overly impressive about the shear with this one. So that's encouraging as well. That doesn't mean it's all clear, but that is something to watch. In fact, right now, as it's crossing over 82, you're looking at about 70 miles an hour. And that's, again, that's enough to cause some trees to go down. And we just keep surveying that along this rotation. And you'll find anywhere from between about 50 to 70, maybe 80 mile an hour shear with this as it's crossing over 82 there. So again, not as impressive, but not all clear. You need to be in your safe place if you're in Ethelsville, anywhere west of Coal Fire along Highway 82. If you're in Millport, you want to go ahead and be in that safe place as well. And again, this storm is moving at about 45 miles an hour. So it's moving at a pretty good clip. If you're in the Shaw community or even Kennedy, I think you guys need to be in that safe place as well. You're kind of right on that edge. Millport primarily and areas west along Highway 96 there, and then continuing into southern half of Lamar County, including the city of Vernon. You guys will want to be in that safe place. So this is just one of those issues that we've got these things kind of lining up back to our west. And right now, I don't see any other warnings back in Mississippi, which that too is also encouraging. But that does not mean we won't see something redevelop. Now, we're losing that daytime heating. That's important to what we're continuing to see. These temperatures continue to fall. Wide view, though, over West Alabama, Jasper, Tuscaloosa, you still see those low 70s out there. So there's still quite a bit of heat out there. But we're beginning to lose that daytime heating. The sun's down. We're going to start seeing that drop off. Unfortunately, it becomes more of a linear event later tonight, and damaging straight line winds will be a threat with those storms.
Yeah, let me clarify some information about the federal prison over in Pickens County at Aliceville. We know now that there is some damage. We've got some eyewitness reports. They've sustained extensive damage to their education building and been called in the federal prison in Aliceville. We have trees down on Highway 159 near the Oak Ridge Church. And again, a possible tornado. Reports from Ashcraft Corner, trees down along Highway 159 between County Roads 1 and 2. That is in the southwestern part of Fayette County. In fact, let me show you this image behind me. Again, if you've missed our coverage earlier today, this is what we've been dealing with. This is a great shot of the tornado that was taken earlier today in Pickens County. And this has come through the southern part of Pickens County. And really, it started into Alabama in extreme northern Sumter County. Came up into southern Pickens. It passed a little to the west of the city of Aliceville. It's come up near Carrollton. And it's been cycling. But the most intense part of this seemed to be down there in the southern end of Pickens County, causing a lot of damage. So again, thanks to all for taking the time to send the images in. We're also getting reports that ambulances from Pickens County Medical are on their way into Aliceville, and they are still expecting some patients up at the hospital in Carrollton. Alabama Power Company reports that 940 people out of 11,000 customers in Pickens County are currently without power. So about 1,000 people in Pickens County without power. It doesn't sound like a big number when you're talking Birmingham or the larger cities, but that is a big number for a rural county. The Spirit and Truth Church on Martin Luther King Road has been opened as a shelter for people whose homes were damaged or destroyed. The homes that were most severely damaged were in the Saps community. This is in southern Pickens County. There are a lot of trees and power lines down on Alabama Highway 14. And again, as we get additional information, we'll pass that along. But again, the Spirit and Truth Church on Martin Luther King Road has been opened as a shelter for people that had nowhere else to go, for people whose homes were damaged or destroyed by these storms. And again, more reports coming from the Pickens County EMA that the federal prison didn't take a direct hit, but there's a lot of damage around the facility. But they didn't take a direct hit based on the reports there. 3 houses are down in Beavertown. A lot of trees are down with minor injuries so far, and that's the good news we have to report. Down around Aliceville. The Saps community is quite rural. They've had some trees down. They've had some homes damaged. But again, we just don't know a lot yet because of the nature of the reporting we have here. So again, if you're just joining us, we are working a tornado outbreak in West Alabama. This is James Spann with Charles Daniel. We have 2 tornado warnings. Let me go through the first one here. This is what's left of the circulation that caused the damage in Pickens County. It is greatly in a weakened state. A broad circulation is coming through Hubbardville. And again, that'll be coming up here toward the county line. And I would imagine the Weather Service is not going to extend this warning. We'll hear from them shortly. But again, based on the velocity displays we're seeing, the presentation is certainly less than impressive. So again, we're going to keep watching this. It is a broad Very broad. In fact, let me show you the
I think they're just going to
here.
let it ride. It expires at 6:30,
Right.
so they just may let that one ride.
Right. This is not a tornado signature. This is just a broad area of rotation coming up on Glen Allen. And again, this is Winfield. You can see Gew in there. This is Eldridge and Walker County. That broad circulation is right on top of Glen Allen, moving north. And again, as that moves out of the polygon, I think they'll just kind of let this thing go. The Weather Service, Kevin Laws, who's the Science Operations Officer, just put out a note. He's monitoring areas of rotation in the warning for Pickens and Lamar. He says the southern storm in northwest Pickens County looks the best, but we have not seen any tornado debris signaling, and there's a fairly decent chance nothing is down. But please understand, if you are in one of these tornado warning polygons, please honor that and stay in a safe place until we give an all clear, until the warning expires. So this is the first warning. It's a broad circulation on its own. But let's go back and look at the other circulations. And again, there really are multiple circulations in this thing. I mean, you can see one here that's located west of Millport, one down here again near the end of this polygon. But all three of them just don't look that impressive. But clearly we have multiple spots of rotation that's fairly broad. So this is the second warning polygon. This includes the city of Millport. This includes the city of Vernon. This includes US 82. And again, I told you a minute ago, the first circulation is north of US 82. Here's the problem. We have a second circulation coming up from the south. So I got to go back to the same thing. If you're listening to us on the radio and at US 82 trying to get to Start Vegas, stop at Reform, hang out, give us about 10 more minutes until that circulation gets north of the highway. The last thing you want is to be out on a highway, a small tornado comes along, it takes your car, it rolls it, people could be hurt. It will ruin your day. So again, I would stop at Reform. Let's give it, let's see, the clock now says 6:16. I'd give it until about 6:25. Let's give it about 9 minutes, and hopefully this is the last of the series. But the bottom line is, in case you're watching new, we have people trying to get from Tuscaloosa to Starkville to watch a basketball game. Alabama plays Mississippi State tonight. So a broad circulation here, broad circulation here, broad circulation down here. But anything is down right now, and Hopenham has canceled the warning for Fayette County. So for the first time, Charles, in what, 2 hours, we don't have a warning for that storm. In fact, let me just show you real quick up here.
We followed that one all the way from East Mississippi, all the way into town.
This originated in Scuba, Mississippi when we started watching it. Came up through Pickens and just caused a lot of problems, and has come up through Fayette. But there's no tornado circulation here at all, and the Weather Service has canceled it. So if you're listening to us in Fayette County, going about your business, you can get out of your tornado shelter. All is well. There's no danger right now. We got some thunder and lightning and heavy rain, but again, the warning for Fayette County has been canceled. There is no tornado warning for Fayette County, so we are down to one. And again, it's this storm that you see over here. So I'll animate this, and we'll kind of watch these three circulations. And again, here's number one, number two, number three. And again, the third one down here is probably the most impressive. And again, that's the one that's crossing over Highway 82 right now. So give it about 8 more minutes. No travel on US 82 between Reform and the Alabama-Mississippi state line. We'll say at about 6:25 or so, you can go on about your business and travel on US 82. And that is it. We still have a tornado watch until 10. Let's just look at a big picture, Charles. Let's kind of do a reset. Let's go back to the graphic system. And this is the big picture. We have no severe weather for Anniston or Gadsden. You are not under a watch. The counties in yellow, those are the counties under a tornado watch until 10 o'clock tonight. Those counties include Jefferson and Shelby, the Birmingham Metro. And again, that's a tornado watch in counties on to the west. You might be under a watch later if you're in Anniston or Gadsden. It's very possible. What's going to happen, these storms over here will be evolving into a long QLCS, a quasi-linear convective system, a squall line. And this is the encouraging news. This is the only warning we really see in that part of Alabama or Mississippi. So we're down to one warning, but the tornado watch continues until 10. And you can see that includes Blount. It includes Jefferson, Shelby, includes Chilton, Dallas, and then counties back to the west. These are flash flood warnings in effect for parts of Mississippi. That looks like a severe thunderstorm warning, but really the only tornado warning, it's the one we have in far west Alabama. And that warning is set to expire at 7, and just maybe that they will allow that to expire a little earlier this evening. as we are watching all this together. And again, I'm watching some more of the damage reports coming in. And in fact, I'm going to pull some of those up so you can we can watch those together. And thanks to all for taking in the images. And I often say that the social media is basically like our window to the world. And the images that we see are very helpful. We could have a news crew of 10,000 people, and you can't have people everywhere. And especially when these things are working in these rural areas like they have been doing today. And we've had many tornadoes in many rural parts of the state. So again, we're going to take a look at some of the images that have been coming in. And the good thing I can tell you is the fact that we have not had any reports of serious injuries. We've had reports of minor injuries from Pickens County, but nothing major. And again, we are in touch with the hospital in Carrollton, and as we get additional information from them, we'll certainly pass that on. But again, at this point, the fact that we had no fatalities and no serious injuries, that is a good thing. Just show you a quick shot of downed trees. We have a lot of pictures that look like this. And again, this is an example of what people are going to be cleaning up. You're going to hear a lot of chainsaws running tomorrow in parts of Pickens County and probably on up into maybe parts of Lamar and Fayette counties as well. But these are damage images that have been coming in, and you can see that in some cases the trees have been falling down on vehicles. Looks like there's a dog down here. But I really think the warning process worked the way that it should work tonight. The warnings were issued far in advance. People were able to hear the warnings. They had their weather radio or their smartphone app, and they got the warning. They went to a safe place, and they're okay. And that's what's all that matters here. And again, these are images coming in. It's getting very dark, and it's hard to see some of the damage. These are images coming in from Pickens County in West Alabama. This, I do believe, is from the SAPS community in Aliceville. And again, we thank everybody for taking the time to send these in. Obviously, there's been some very significant damage down here. We understand that there have been some minor injuries, but I don't know of any serious injuries so far. Again, this is not too far from Aliceville. It's a fairly sparsely populated part of Pickens County, down in the southern end of the county. But the first responders are in there, and they're doing some assessment. And again, we'll have much more information specifically on this coming up on the late news tonight at 10 o'clock, or as we get it in earlier this evening. We hope we can go back to programming, get your Wheel of Fortune in primetime programming tonight. I don't think we'll be on here for hours and hours and hours with tornado warnings. The emphasis will be shifting to the threat of damaging straight line winds. And after 10 or 11 o'clock tonight, the overall threat will be dying down. Let's go back to our main graphic system. And again, this is the big picture. And what you're going to see, we'll just have one line evolving here, and that line will be coming on down through the state with a chance of strong, maybe damaging straight line winds tonight. And again, these winds are capable of maybe knocking down some trees and power lines. Could there be a small tornado within that line? Yes, there could be. But again, typically in a linear situation, the greatest issue is from strong straight line winds. And notice the one warning polygon we have over here that's for parts of Pickens and Lamar, and that is it. That's the good news. Once we lose that, then we will have no more tornado warnings in effect for the state. But again, that's a look at the current situation, and you can see we have a tornado warning polygon from near Ethelesville and Coal Fire up to Millport and Vernon. And that includes parts of Lamar and Fayette counties. And we're going to check the rotational signatures here based on radar. And again, the signatures are just not that impressive. Let's take a look at the high. And again, you can see clearly we've got segments of these storms. They're spinning like a top, but it's broad. For example, right here, this is the segment that's just come across US 82. And again, we talked about giving you an all clear at about 6:25, and that is in 2 minutes. And if you're listening to us on the radio, and if you're in reform, waiting to go to Starkville, give it about 2 minutes and you can hit the road. We'll give you an all clear, but that broad circulation is now north of US. And again, everything else is absolutely looking like a tornado here.
And just doing some queries on the velocity, we've got about a 70-mile-an-hour rotation out of that. That's as best as I can find, but it's very wide. I mean, it's not even close to being right there on top of each other. So, like you said, it doesn't look very tight at all at this point. It doesn't look nearly as healthy as that storm that moved into southern parts of Pickens County around 5 o'clock this afternoon. Right,
and again, if you're just joining us, we apologize. Typically, we would be in The ABC 3340 News at 6 o'clock. We've been in continuous weather programming since about 4:15 today. And we've got a lot of people out in the field. And here's one report, by the way, from Fayette County EMA. This is coming from our news department. They're reporting no structural damage, no injuries in the county. So again, for Fayette County, no structural damage, no injuries. Brian Peters is in our Benchmark Jeep Storm Chaser. And Brian, let's pull you up. And you've had an odyssey across the state today. But so far, you've kind of not seen much, which is a good thing.
Well, it sure is, James. Seen a good deal of rain. And I'm coming back on 96 down towards Millport. And the areas where I was seeing some water on the highway earlier, those areas have drained off. So it appears to be that the rain is draining away properly without causing any serious flooding issues, but still raining. So flooding still a concern for the rest of the night as we get some of these heavier storms.
All right. And again, I'm sorry, Brian, I was multitasking. Where's your exact location right now? We can see some pretty vivid lightning.
Yes, I'm coming up on Millport on 96.
Okay. And that is over in far west Alabama. And we've got these storms in that area, and the rotation is very, very broad and ill-defined. And let me just kind of pass along some technical information. We'll kind of keep Brian's stream up. The new upper air sounding just came in. The way it works, the weather balloons are launched traditionally twice a day, 6 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the evening. There was a special balloon launch at midday today, but the new sounding data just came in from the Shelby County Airport. That's where the soundings are launched here. There's several inversions present. Low Cape values aloft, a large zone of dry air aloft, which could result in some fairly increased instability values. You want to see some dry air aloft. That can increase the downward velocity of air parcels. The wind profile is still very sheared. Right now, the sounding is not overly impressive because of the thermodynamics, but the dynamics are fairly impressive, and it's been that kind of a day. You really like to see them both to have a big severe weather day. The thermodynamics today have been kind of so-so, and that has limited this to some degree, but the dynamic support is very good. So we're going to be vigilant for severe storms. The tornado watch stays in effect until 10 o'clock tonight, and there could be more warnings. I think most of them will be severe thunderstorm warnings, but there could be more tornado warnings. The Weather Service in Birmingham is scheduled to launch another balloon at 9 o'clock tonight, so that is so helpful. It's amazing what can change in the atmosphere in 12 hours. So getting balloons every 6 or 3 hours is a great help. But we're watching reports coming in from other sources, and again, I just don't see any damage, Charles, here in the last 30 minutes.
You know, if there is any rotation with this storm, I mean, there is, but if there's anything happening, it's going to cross right now, about to cross the county line into southern parts of Lamar County. So the Shaw community, that's what we're looking at right here. And the heavier rain now is going into along Highway 96 there, into Millport. Some heavier rain, maybe even some small hail, a lot of lightning. We saw that on Brian's feed. But if there's anything down, it's going to be crossing